We're so glad that you're with us today because we're going to talk about 48 years ago today. The last crew to the Skylab space station was launched November 16th, 1973. And our friend Tom Usiak was just a kid photographer from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And he went down and took pictures of this launch that we're going to show you here in just a minute. But before that, I just want to say we're thanking everyone for watching our program on Facebook Live, on YouTube and Twitch. Please tell your friends to share, like, subscribe, and get our numbers up there for us so our nonprofit can help us monetize our weekday program that brings you space history, astronaut birthdays, and the occasional conversation with space workers and astronauts. And this Saturday, we're going to have one heck of an astronaut here. Nicole Stott is going to be signing her new book, and you're going to love it. Return to Earth is the name of the book, and it's all about, it's like a 7 chapters about solving our global warming issues here on Earth. And you're going to love Nicole Stott. We'll be here at the museum autographing her book. If you're in the area, please come down. She'll be here from 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock. And then we'll have her right behind our green screen here at the American Space Museum and have a Stay Curious program from 2 to 3. And then we're scooting off to the Rocket Reunion, where all the local rocket launch people from Cape Canaveral and Kennedy get together for a little informal gathering there on Merritt Island. So big day Saturday. Hope you can join us here personally at the museum. If you can't, watch us on Facebook at about 3 o'clock Saturday for a wonderful interview with Nicole Stott. She was on the last mission of Discovery, STS-133, after staying 9 months on this. Geeks have probably been there and seen it too. Quite an impressive looking thing, but it's just nothing but girders and metal and all kinds of wires everywhere. Yep. I said, John. Here we have a gorgeous picture. Marty, there we go. Thank you, Marty. This is the Saturn S1B, and it is on a milk stand, if you can see over there. And this is called the LUT, the Launch Umbilical Tower. And over here was the
That's called LUT.
Lux?
LUT, L-U-T, LUT.
L-U-T, yeah, okay, LUT. And I was calling it LUT, L-U-T, LUT, okay. Well, I had the acronym right, Marty, so give me a little credit for there. And we don't use these anymore, but boy, there were so many wires and pipes and plumbing on this thing. You can't believe how complicated a rocket is. And our Marty Winkle, when the Saturn V was there, went all the way to the top and got in the lunar module at over 340 feet tall in the air there. That was the red part on the right. What a stunning picture here by Tom Usiak. Thank you for sharing these, Tom. Him and his brother Mark are become great partners of our museum. We're happy to share their photographs of space history. And this is a beautiful one. Sunrise or sunset there. Beautiful contrast there with the sky and the lighting on all of the last. This is the next to the last S1B launch, because the last one would be for the Apollo-Soyuz test project. And let's just look at who those. There's another beautiful shot as the Saturn vehicle was tanking. It launched at 9 in the morning, so. Marty, they filled it up hours and hours before they put the crew on there. So this could have been at 5 in the morning, something like that. Didn't ask Tom, but what a beautiful picture. Time exposure. Folks, 48 years ago, you didn't have the high-speed film or high-speed digital cameras, of course. You had film, and I'll bet he had 400 sensitivity on that for that long exposure, probably over a second, looking at the coming off the rocket there, the vapors of the hydrogen fuel. Yes, Marty.
Go back a picture.
Uh-huh.
And that black structure, that's the MSS, Mobile Service Structure.
Right.
We come down to launch, down the what do you call it, the crawl away.
Yep. Marty says that the structure here on the left there, the mobile service, would also come down on its own on the crawler way. Was it on a what kind of vehicle took it down?
The crawler.
Oh, the crawler, same crawler.
The vehicle now.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That's where the technicians and engineers access the vehicle that way.
Engineers access the vehicle over there. And we're going to talk about these engineers here in just a minute. Uh, the engineers and the NASA press didn't get together too well during the Skylab program, and that's why we have a little anomaly with the numbers that we're going to explain here in a minute. And was looking at this beautiful night launch Tom Usiak took, just a mere teenager, and there's his beautiful launch. I'll bet he was just dying watching that. Of course, Tom had been down for Apollo 15 3 years before, or 2 years before this launch. But there it is going off the milk stool. Beautiful film shot there by Tom Usiak. Thank you for sharing that with us, Tom. And we did that on our Facebook today also. Well, here's the crew. Sorry for the low resolution image. I thought that I was trained well by our Trekkie Techie Jessica and didn't look and see what resolution that was. But there you got left to right is Gerald Carr. All right, they call him Jerry. And he was the commander. And in the middle is the pilot, Bill Pogue. And Bill Pogue's on the right. I'm sorry. He was the pilot. And the science officer was Ed Gibson there in the middle. And Ed is alive. He's 84. The other two have passed on. This was an all-rookie crew, Marty. And Skylab 4 was the largest all-rookie crew ever launched by NASA. Of course, all the Mercury astronauts were rookies. But then what were the other rookie crews that we've had in space, in American crewed space history? Marty?
Fetch the scroll.
Pardon me?
Essentially Apollo 14.
Well, essentially it says Apollo 14, though Al Shepard had 15 minutes of suborbital flight. That's a good one. How about Gemini 4 with McDivitt and White? They weren't Mercury astronauts. Gemini 7, Borman and Lovell, all right, was a rookie crew. And Gemini 8, Armstrong and Scott. And then there was Skylab 4. And then STS-2, Joe Engle and Richard Truly were the last of the all-rookie crews to fly. But a good argument there for Al Shepard just having 15 seconds of flight, maybe 3.5 minutes of weightlessness, that he was pretty much a rookie on his own there. Well, let's get to this problem here that the NASA Public Relations Department put all of their mission patches and decals and so forth together, saying that the first crewed mission was 1, the second crewed mission was 2, and this last crewed mission was 3. But the engineers working on the blueprints and so forth called the Skylab vehicle itself Skylab 1. And then Skylab 2 was the first crewed mission, okay, that had Pete Conrad in command of that. And then the second crewed mission, the engineers called Skylab 3, that had as the leader there, Al Bean. And then the third crewed mission was called Skylab 4 by the engineers, all right? So this is so confusing, particularly here at our museum when we're filing things in our archives and so forth, and it comes up Skylab 3 symbol there, but it's really Crew 4, okay, Skylab 4. So a classic public relations nightmare where the public relations team wasn't consulting the engineers. All the paperwork on both sides had been printed up, and the flow charts with those numbers were done, so they kept it that way. By the way, this is a very hard patch to find, and it's the only patch in American space human flights that is like a 3 corners on it like that, kind of like the Pocono NASCAR racetrack. And you see the 3 there, and the human being, and the rainbow, and the trees, and the atom, all for the science missions going on this very successful Skylab mission. Here is the Orbital Workshop behind me. Quite complicated, as you can see. Over here behind me is where the Apollo command module docked with the service module. This was a special command module built for this mission because it was going to last 84 days, almost 3 months in space, okay? No other space flight had lasted this long. So when you have a spacecraft, and thank you for the arrow there, exposed to the elements of space, things wear out. It has to be charged up periodically, all kinds of things. It's like leaving your car in the driveway for 6 months, and you need to go out and start it every once in a while so the battery doesn't go dead. So this was a real uh, groundbreaking time with NASA wondering, will this command module last as long as it will up there? And they painted it white so that it would reflect more sunlight, not all the heat. Up here, this big windmill thing you have there, that was the meat of the science mission of all the three Apollo, of all the three Skylab missions. This was a solar telescope, several of them, not very big. The biggest was, I think, 8-inch telescope. But when you're looking at the sun, it doesn't have to be very big because it's so bright and so close. And some groundbreaking solar plasma physics and so forth was done with Skylab. And in fact, that was Gibson's forte, was astrophysics, and he wrote a book about the sun and what they learned on Skylab. Now, to go out there and take pictures of the sun, it was taken on film, all right? The images weren't taken and transmitted inside the Skylab or down to Earth. This was a film era, 1973. So the astronauts had to literally go out and do spacewalks to retrieve that valuable film data and bring it back in and put new film cassettes out there. And as stunning as that is, it had to be overcome today. All of the data is transmitted back to the respective centers around the world of our 15 international space station, 15 member nations there. And of course, you even think back on the Columbia disaster of 2003, most of the data was sent back to Earth by, of course, modern telemetry. So it was a very complete and successful mission, was Columbia. STS-107. But look at the workshop, things going on in there, very big sleeping compartment, all kinds of room in this thing. There is the command module. CSM-118 is the serial number of this North American built spaceship that lasted for 84 days in space. The astronauts also were doing observations of Comet Kahutek, another comet of the century that kind of fizzled out. I roll my eyes because as an amateur astronomer, every year we have, this is going to be the comet of the century. And we're lucky that you can see it with the naked eye most of the time. But we had a pretty good one like a year and a half ago. Forget the name of that one that skirted over the north from down here. The crew spent Christmas aboard Skylab, only the second time astronauts were in space during that holiday. The first was 5 years earlier when Apollo 8 was orbiting the moon on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. A week later, they were the first to celebrate New Year's Eve in space. And now, their record-setting 84 days stood for until 1980s when the Soviet Salyut 7 spacecraft crew surpassed it. Maybe Salyut 6 was up there longer. And they started rotating out their crews at about 4-month intervals. So this 84 days in space lasted a long time, not just for human physiology experiments that were very important to Skylab, but also the endurance of the spacecraft itself, being exposed to the radiation of space, cosmic rays. And this was a very active time for the sun, as we talked about on our backyard astronomy program. The sun is increasing its energy output infinitesimally, but the activity of sunspots is occurring and will continue to rise for the next 3 or 4 years and peak. And when the sun heats up, the Earth's atmosphere heats up, and the envelope of atmosphere rises and creates more drag on spacecraft that are 200 miles up than usually, and such was the case of Skylab, and brought it down early. Let's see, what else we got there? Here is the spacewalk that Pogue and Jerry Carr did. Not sure which one that is, but there they are in their spacesuits. They were tethered and of course had an umbilical line supplying their oxygen, and they had a scrubber on their leg, I believe. You see on the right leg there is the scrubber for the carbon dioxide, if I'm not wrong, or emergency oxygen supply, maybe that is. But not very easy. And 84 days up there, that's Jerry Carr on the right and Bill Pogue on the left. They grew beards and had some pretty healthy wild mountain beards up there in space. And again, just having a lot of fun. We have got one of these Skylab brown uniforms in here that Bob Crippen wore during the tests of the Skylab atmospheric tests on Earth. And we show this picture because the 84 days in space by a U.S. spacecraft was lasted until 2021, when Crew 1 Dragon eclipsed that mark on February 7th, 2021 this year. And here's the Crew 1 astronauts. Left to right are Mark Hopkins, Soichi Noguchi, Shannon Walker, and Victor Glover. And they are holding up a laptop that has Ed Gibson on there. Ed Gibson last year communicated with them on space an hour after they broke the U.S. record for a spacecraft in flight set by the Apollo Command Module Skylab 4. So how cool is that? There you see they've got written down there the date, 84 days plus up there. How long did they stay, Marty? They stayed, that crew stayed almost 6 months, 5 months, I believe, up there until Crew 2 replaced them that just came back. So a little bit of space history today with Space History Now. Here is that CM-118 for all of you tail numbers out there, loving keeping track of our spacecraft. They do have a specific number on them that has followed them all through their manufacturing. Where is it now? This shows it as it was at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., where it stayed more than 40 years. It was moved to the Oklahoma History Center in Oklahoma City. And here is a picture of it there in the Oklahoma City, home to 7 astronauts, including, Owen Garriott, a Skylab 3 participant in STS-9. William Pogue is from Okemah. I'm sure I killed both of those. Girl from Kansas City. You know anything about how you pronounce these Oklahoma Indian names? Okemah. Jessica grew up in Kansas City there and went to the Okemah, Okemah.
Yeah.
And from Shawnee is Gordon Cooper, and Weatherford, of course, is Tom Stafford. Fabulous museum Tom's got in Weatherford, Oklahoma, a mile west of Oklahoma City. John Harrington, the first Native American, is from Wetumpka. And Shannon Lucid has some of her roots there in Oklahoma. So we want to brag about them. Look at this beautiful display there. Bill Pogue, I think, is on the further in there. But there is the command module of Skylab 4, which came back to Earth February 8th, 1974, after 84 days in space. And I was seeing if there's any other interesting trivia that I hadn't gotten to. And nope, I haven't at all. And there's that beautiful picture that Tom Usiak took a couple days before the launch. I'm sure he wasn't down here too long a time, being a young man, probably staying in his car. We'll have to ask Tom about that. But we sure are grateful for all of you out there sharing your images and wanting to have more space history on Stay Curious. So with that, what we've got going on the rest of the week is some more space history with you the rest of the week. Catch up on a couple astronaut birthdays, all right? And we want to promote our Galaxy of Giving, all right?
Gonna do it?
Yep, go ahead and get our Galaxy of Giving. You give us over $100 or more, and we're going to put your logo here, your name here, your dog there, and then we're going to put you in, like there's Jessica and her business. If she can help you, let us know. She actually helped Marty and I remotely in her car. I don't know how she did that to get this show going here a little bit. But and there is our second constellation with $4,000 total from Aerodyne Corporation here, and Mark Allen, Andy Allen's brother. And we want to put your name up here on our Galaxy of Giving. So please consider that in this time of giving and a nice healthy tax deduction, y'all out there. So doesn't have to be your name. You can buy another star and put it in whosever name you want out there in our American Space Museum Galaxy of Giving. We are a proud Brevard County nonprofit where we are at the delivery room of America's proud space age. And we are such a unique place that we can't wait for you to come and visit us. So until that time happens, on behalf of Marty Winkle, good job, Marty. Jessica, thanks for your help. And our wonderful staff led by Karen Conklin. And
Our viewers.
and our viewers, yeah, we couldn't do it without you. You've made this a program that you want. Please tell your friends and also spread the word that Nicole Stott is going to be here Saturday signing her book. Why? To bridge the space between us. See you tomorrow.